Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 8th episode of Privacy Fridays, back-to-back with FightBack Cybersecurity. Once again, I'm Sam Hacoba. I'm one of the co-founders of BounceBack Philippines. In behalf of my colleague and founder, the BounceBack Network, Jason De La Rosa, welcome. This evening, we have a very interesting topic. We decided to forgo the 101s and the 102s of data privacy and cybersecurity, but instead, we're going to focus on the pressing issues of today that happened recently. But let me first call in my colleague in surname alphabetical order, Attorney Kiko Acero. Magandang gabi. Kumusta ka na?
Hello!
Oh, orange na orange ang kulay natin. So,
siyempre.
Sakto. Ang
Kulay
dami
natin yan eh.
ECQ day, no? So,
ECQ day, yes. So, spend it lambasting fried rice and and represent the organization. Diba?
Pati lobster din, parang nagutom ako. Welcome natin, another A, di ba? Ang dami natin palang surname na A, no? So, after Acero, syempre, Antonio. Yan. So, blue na naman si Sir Engels, Antonio. Ayan, magandang gabi.
Gandang gabi. Yeah, na-miss ko kayo lahat.
Buti, okay ka naman Sir Engels, no? So, kumusta yung mga turo mo? Si Sir Engels kasi, Attorney Kiko, nagturo siya ng 2 araw sa ating mga kaibigan sa PNP. Kaya medyo nagulpi siya. Dahil nabigat yung topic mo, di ba? So, business continuity sa disaster recovery, ano?
Yes, oo. And very exciting kasi in the middle of the lesson actually, nagkaroon ng disaster.
Sakto.
So, tama-tama. Oo.
Hindi naman.
Nakita agad kung...
Saan ba natin ilalagay? Sa 107 ba yung business continuity saka disaster?
Pwede.
BCBP. Another A din. Ito. Puro A po. Ayan ating the godfather of cybersecurity. Welcome everyone. Sir Lito,
Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat.
Bandito, kumusta naman yung inyong mansion dyan sa Pasay?
Ito nagtatanong ako doon sa barangay kung bakit nakangolekta ng datos. Wala naman silang maisagot.
May igot pa rin? Grabe, walang tigil,
Oo.
Kampanya.
Mamaya, discuss natin yung detalye niya kasi may basihan naman yung pagkolekta.
Oo, sakto.
May legal basis actually.
Baka nasusolicit na sa'yo ng campaign funds, doon dito. Kaya,
Hindi, ang issue doon malapit na eleksyon
tama. Sige, pag-usapan ulit natin yan, Kaya sumisipa na talaga, umiinit na Tawagin natin ang ating kaisa-isahang Rosas. Yan. Professor Arnie Barcelo, letter B.
Ayan. Ako po yung row 2. Nasa row 2 po ako. Ayan. Magandang gabi. Good evening. Magandang gabi sa ating mga tagapakinig at ating tagapanood. Kasama po namin kayo, sasamahan namin kayo sa ating lockdown. We will make it light and easy. So magkwekwentuhan lang po tayo. Papagandahin natin itong lockdown na to. Exciting tong episode na to. Excited na ako. So, sige sir, tuloy na natin.
Tama, again, galing din sa ating kasamang si Professor Arnie Barcelo, mga ka-BounceBack at NADPOP, Siyempre, mga kasama natin sa UST, magandang gabi po.
Ay, opo. Yeah, nag-start na kami ng orientation. Mag-open na kami ng aming school year, 2021-2022. So, kaya ako'y naka-yellow and black. So, kaya yun.
Yellow team. Ipakilala mo naman ang ating kasama na susunod na Professor Arnie.
Row 4? Na-joke na sa row 4. Ako na ba? Okay. Okay. So tatawagin ko na yung aking kagrupo. So, mga kaibigan, meron po tayong kasama dito from PH-CERT, si Mr. Abet de la Cruz. Magandang gabi, Abet.
Uy, iba nag-introduce sa akin. Thank you, madam. Maraming salamat po. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Well, ika nga ni Maring Arnie, welcome to Lockdown 2.0 edition.
Third hard lockdown.
To entertain you and at the same time, contribute something educational. Oy, pinag-usapan yung BCPDR, hindi nyo inimbita si Sir Lito. Alam nyo bang BCPDR certified yan?
Wow. Next time.
Next time, Tama-tama.
Pro bono yung training na yun
Oo, pro bono pa. 30 years ng pro bono si Lito eh.
Mura lang
Kaya
yung
pala-
tinatapos di ba?
Kaya pala poging-pogi.
Lito na. Uy, kumustahan naman natin? May mga nag-greet sa atin. Ito na po, di naman lumabas. Go pare Sam daw. Kung sino ka man yung kumpare ko o kumare ko, pasensya na, hindi na malabas yung pangalan ko, pero magandang gabi. Thank you for joining us tonight, no? At may isa pa, another Facebook user, ang dami nila. Ito talaga common name siguro ng Facebook user, thumbs up. Okay? And maayong gabi, ito po, galing kay Novelesca, Abandoned Farmers Advocacy na panghaba ng ninyo. Maayong gabi po, nasaan man po kayo ngayong gabi. At samahan niyo po kami dahil marami po tayong issues na katalakayan. Nakita niyo na po sa ating title.
Chismis.
So, ECQ, di ba? At ang mga simulan na ba natin? Yung mainit
Oo,
na
vitamina yan sa lockdown. Umpisahan na natin.
topic na to, di ba? Napakalapit ng puso. Yan, ito, unahin natin to. Yung issue ni NAS Daily, saka yung kay Apo Whang-Od. Ano? So, yan, nakangiti pa naman din ditong si NAS Daily. So, simulan natin dito. Sino ba ang gusto mauna sa ating mga host ngayon para talakayin ito? Tanggalin muna natin para makita ang ating mga mukha. So, mainit.
Foggy.
Yeah, establish muna natin yung kwento.
Sige, yan. Go ahead, Professor. Sige.
Sa totoo lang, hindi ako gaanong nagpa-follow sa mga ganito. Pero dahil napag-desisyon na natin na ito ang isa sa magandang topic natin ngayong lockdown at saka yung trending issue, hot issue, ay finalo ko din, binasa ko, no? Pero ang nakita ko dito yung pagiging Pinoy natin. So, pero mas gusto ko na si Abet ang magkwento ng kwento na to. Okay, makikinig ako.
Tignan mo na. Batiin natin siya na Jento Wandong, magandang gabi po. Ayan, ready na daw sila.
Hey, Jane.
Okay, no? Salamat
Hi,
po.
Jay.
Ano po ang inyong nagkakapit ba kayo o meron na kayo diyang alam niyo na, yung pang Friday na inumin. Sana po. Next po ito, si Anatola, Balyad. Good evening sa inyo. Watching from Surigao del Sur, Mindanao. Ay, tama po. Kumusta po sa lahat ng taga Mindanao? Diyan po nanggagaling ang ating mga Olympic gold medalist ngayon. Lahat sila galing Mindanao. So, mabuhay po kayo. Salamat po. Okay, Abet, kwento mo na. Ano ba yung nangyayari dito kay Apo Whang-Od at NAS Daily, So, di ba?
Anong kwento niyan?
Pa-intro muna natin kay Sir Sam.
Wala, hindi talaga tayo chismoso, no? Ano tayo hindi tayo chismoso? Ano ba? Ayusin na.
Pinapanood ko talaga si NAS kasi admittedly before, di ba? Meron siyang mga, magaganda naman yung content niya, no? Yung, nung pumunta siya sa Smoky Mountain, di ba? Yung namigay siya ng mga hamburger, promoting our islands. I mean, okay siya talaga. I mean, I wouldn't think of it until this happened, no, na ganun nga. So I guess, just like anything else, iba yung nasa harap ng camera kaysa sa likod ng camera. Unti-unting lumalabas yung mga kwento na hindi pala siya talaga ganun, etc. So, ganun bale, no? Pero this particular case, sabi ko nga, tinatanong ko si Tony, medyo masalimuot. Ano ba yung mga violation dito? May violation sa intellectual property, may violation regarding sa tribe nila, cultural appropriation. So, medyo malalim po. Kaya buti na lang nandito si Tony.
I-frame ko na rin para buo, no? So, okay. So, si NAS Daily po, mga ka-BounceBack at ka-NADPOP, isa po siyang content creator. Video content creator. Nagsimula po siya sa Facebook. And currently po, meron siyang more than 20 million followers. Sa isang channel lang po yun.
Mhm.
Yung pong kanyang business is that hindi lang po siya mag-isa. Okay? So, yung pong NAS Daily sa team of content creators, isa po silang kumpanya na malaki. May kanya-kanya po silang tinatawag natin ng mga channels. Parang ito, para pong BounceBack Network, meron po sila. Pero ang laki-laki po nila kasi international po ang kanilang reach. Ngayon po, ang recent development, kamakailan, siguro a few months ago, pumirma po si NAS Daily ng content partnership. Ano po yung content partnership? Ito po ay isang agreement to develop content. Ito po, either video, either documentary, etc. na ipapalabas po sa mga channel nila. At tinayo po niya yung tinatawag na NAS Academy. Meron po siyang naging partner ng mga ilang Pilipino, siguro po mahigit sila 10. At isa po nga doon sa kanilang mga partners ay yung si Apo Whang-Od. So ganun po yung yung background. Ano po relevance ito sa data privacy sa cybersecurity? Marami po. Kasi po una-una yung mga content creators, sila po ay gumagamit minsan ng personal information. Yung pong inyong mga mukha, halimbawa kumuha sila ng video at makolekta nila yan. Yun po, information nyo. Or pagka in-interview nila kayo, halimbawa, at dinut-dut nila, for example, yung inyong, may isa silang feature, for example, Smoky Mountain, o kinunan nila, for example, yung mga, mga information doon, pumasok sila sa isang bahay, nag-interview sila, etc. Meron po mga personal information involved. Ito pong kay Apo Whang-Od ay medyo kakaiba. Kasi nga po, out of all of the Filipino content creators na kanilang pag-partner, si Apo Whang-Od lang po yung member ng isang indigenous communities. And then, yung nga po, naka-ready na meron po nakalagay na kurso doon sa NAS Academy na magtuturo si Apo Whang-Od ng how to share how they make their tribes tattoo. Yun po. Ang cost po ng course ay 750 pesos. So, yun po yung nakuha natin sa mga news. Kaso mo, yung pong a few days ago, yung pong apo ni Apo Whang-Od, yung kanya apo sinabi na, hindi totoo yan. Scam yan. So, doon na po nagsimula yung issue. At nagkaroon na ng balik-taktakan, palitan ng mga komento. Until kahapon nga po, tinake down na ni NAS Daily yung course ni Apo Whang-Od. Dahil po sa mga ngayon po, may sinasabi sila na yun nga, na pumirma daw ng kontrata. Actually, hindi po pumirma. Meron pong video na pinakita. Ina-affix po ni Apo Whang-Od yung kanyang thumb mark sa isang papel. Hindi po natin alam kung anong content ng papel. Well, apparently, sabi po ng team ni NAS Daily na nagpunta po din sa yun nga po yung content partnership agreement nila. So, kaya nandun po tayo. Ang dami pong masalimuot na issue. Ito po, ano pong relevance sa inyo kung entrepreneur kayo? Kung kayo po ay kumukolekta ng impormasyon ng mga indigenous Filipinos, yan. Meron po yung impact sa inyo. Yun po. Pangalawa po, kung meron po kayong business that deals with yung nga po yung the cultural products or the output of indigenous Filipinos, meron po impact sa inyo. So, yun po yung maiksing pag-frame nito. And then, siyempre, bigyan natin Attorney Kiko. Yan, kasi i-share ko lang itong again. May batas po actually na silang sinight din. Yung po tinatawag na
Indigenous Peoples Act.
Ito, Republic Act 8371, no?
IPRA.
An act
Indigenous Peoples Rights Act.
Yan. Napakahalaga. Tapos po, nagbigay na rin po ng statement yung Kalinga Tourism Philippines na yun nga. Sabi nila yung proof of compliance yun na dapat support communities and no to cultural exploitation. So medyo mahaba po ito, but doon po umiikot ang ating magiging discussion. So, Attorney Kiko, itong batas, so karagdagang batas to ang tawag Data Privacy Act, when we process the information of indigenous Filipinos.
Balik tayo dun sa last mong bago dito, yung sa statement ng Sam.
Yan. Okay.
Yun. Yung last paragraph nito is very important. Kasi sabi niya, banding on social media contract is not proof of compliance. Totoo yan. Kasi when we talk about indigenous peoples, for consent, napakalaking bagay yan, no? And in fact, even in data privacy, may may special concerns for indigenous peoples. Precisely nga because napakadali na yung possibility for miscommunication. So yan. So the NCIP will make a review and on-site validation and interview whether the free, prior, and informed consent process should have then implemented on this incident. Ibig sabihin, there's when you're setting up an agreement with an indigenous community or someone inside that indigenous community, there should be special considerations. Hindi basta-basta nakikipagkontrata with a person there because the danger of misunderstanding or miscommunication is higher. Again, malamang nangyari dito. So, we don't know that nitty-gritty kasi he said, she said pa. One side says may kasunduan, one side says none. Pero malamang it's, there are some conditions na hindi natupad kaya nasasabi ng isang party na wala ng conditions. So, yun. That's where we are so far. The thing is that should have stopped there. na okay, so may problema kayo with that. Pero instead of going to somewhere else, no, say NCIP or ano, dumiretso na sila sa social media. Tapos nakipag-pile on yung mga tao without really understanding ano ba talaga yung issue between them. So, tapos, naglabasan na ng dumi. And, Sam, back to you.
Ako attorney Kiko, as you know, when everyone moved online, no? Itong content creation is one of the biggest, di ba? One of the biggest industries that throws up from the pandemic, no? Ang dami talaga. And, some of them may not even know that they need to get consent from their subjects, di ba? An interview. So, yun ang pinaka-basic, yung consent, eh. So, for example, attorney Kiko, ako, lumabas ako sa isang without my consent, nilabas nila. Or even with my consent, sinabi nila sa na to, channel lang namin. Pero yung aking lumabas pala sa ibang channel, they earn from it. I can without my consent, di ba? So, yun talaga, dapat maging diligent ang content creators in getting the proper consent from all data subjects that you're going to shoot, di ba? Or to create content.
Sa ibang countries, lalo na sa Europe, pag may video ganun, naglabas sila ng content. Tapos, hindi nag-consent yung tao. Binablur yung mukha. Yun yung practical effect nun. Dito sa atin, parang for content creators, parang hindi pa issue yun eh. But sooner or later, as these things progress, magkaka-issue yan. And so, when you are the DPO of an organization or you manage the processing rights, you have to make sure na your grounds are covered. Kung hindi siya nasa loob ng outside of consent, dapat may consent ka. Tapos na-manage mo dapat yun.
May comment nung sino ating one of our listeners din. PRT Italia. So yung tattooing is cultural nga kasi right now, if nasa Caribbean scene for example, balaan weaving and other cultural mas tama, di ba? We have to be careful. So even ourselves, if we're working with indigenous Filipinos, especially those that have unique, cultural traits that can be commercialized, dapat maingat tayo. Maingat tayo in media deal and make sure they're protected. Kasi dalawang batas yung habol sa'yo dito, no? Well, pangatlo siguro yung intellectual property code. Since it deals with intellectual property. So, kaya, again, be careful. Question ko, sa workplace naman, Attorney Kiko, if you have an IP as an employee, ano yung kailangan, what do you need to take extra precaution?
So for now, actually, mas area ni Abet. But the other extra precautions that you need to, are when you set up remote access to your prod databases, there should be extra alerts or you've set up that pathway for people to access your databases offsite. So your VPNs are set up. Also, you check your your access protocols. Kasi pag on-site nakiki-share ng access, if you're not that sophisticated, di papasok lang makikigamit, kasi yung isang terminal yun lang yung secure terminal, so okay. So how do you translate that into something that's offsite? So authentication per device. So dapat mas ka with BIOD. That's just off the top of my head. But more the practical dangers also should be considered. Yung may bata ka around, you have more files around. If you're already transitioning, going back to the office, tapos biglang balik ka sa bahay, so you have to set up your work area na medyo sterile for the data. Ganun. More of those concerns should be circulating in your head right now.
Okay, thanks Attorney Gix. Dapat pala spell out ko. Yung processing of personal information of indigenous Filipinos in the workplace. kung HR ka, do you exercise extra caution kung yung employee mo is yung, for example, ibaloy ka or iba na ganyan. Parang ano ba yun? Does it entail that yung HR manager should be extra careful kung yung employee nila is yun yung ano, that's the
okay, if you're an indigenous person, your data has more value. In and of itself, your data has more value. So, where you store that data, your data systems that get affected by that. For example, if you have a diversity program, dapat you have coordinated that with your DPO on the protection of that data, the access controls to that data. Some kasi have may diversity programs sila for hiring. It may be official or unofficial. When I hire, may ganun ako in my head. But, diba, it's where you store that information should be something na pops up on your privacy impact assessments.
Definitely. Uy, meron tayong ating Grandmaster, Dondi, magandang gabi. So, salamat.
Hi, Dondi.
Hi, boss.
Hi, Dondi.
Okay, question for you, Sir Antonio, how much should I pay for a VPN? Diba? So, pang ano ba to? Pang Citibank ba to? Pagka Citibank.
Oo. Boss,
Engels,
Citibank yan. Citibank na magbayad.
Pero pagka yung Dondi, sabi ni Engels, may mga libreng open source VPN, di ba? So, in our previous shows. No? So, magandang gabi, Dondi. Hi also to Cherry. Thank you. Mag-guest ka naman dito pagka may oras ka na.
Para Dondi, kumusta na? Actually, Dondi, depende. Kung personal use, maraming libre. Kung corporate, kaya-kaya yung bayaran yan. Personal use, medyo mabagal yung libre. Pag nagbayad ka, bibilis. Also, yung libre medyo limited, no? Hindi mo maloloko yung Netflix. Pero pag bayad, hindi mo detect kung saan region ka galing. So, depende po sa purpose mo. Most of the time, okay na yung libre.
Ano yung average price, Abe, per VPN?
Mura lang. About annually, mga $20 to $30. Minsan, nagpo-promo pa nga 3 years. So,
tama.
Pero mas mahal siya per month to month. Meron silang month to month na plan. Mas mahal yun.
Thank you for dropping by, Donty. Sana magstay on ka. Iba naman natin itong issue dito sa Apo Whang-Od, pero
balikan natin yung issue na yun.
Balikan natin. Maraming issues siya. Yung nga, yung protecting their rights as indigenous Filipinos. Diba? Kasi
tanong ko, Sam, di ba dun sa video, pinakita na nag-sign siya using the thumb mark. Pero iniisip ko, si NAS naman, hindi naman siya newbie sa ganitong setup, right? So, he knows what he is doing. So, alam niya na yung procedure. I would like to assume na alam niya. So, meron ba ditong nag-take advantage dun sa situation? Siguro lahat excited, konti lang ang may alam, or sobra, maybe they are just looking at the good side, pero hindi sila gaanong naging maingat. I don't know what really happened. Pero, ang next question dito, after ba na nag-thumb mark sign, may registration ba doon sa local office nila nung gagawin? Wala na. So, agreement lang to ng two parties? Yun lang.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Tama.
Between two parties, di mo kailangan notarize lahat. So, yun nga dito sa Pilipinas kasi there are people who don't write. So, instead of, nag-X, tapos thumb mark. But, what does that mean? Parang, what really matters, the contract kasi, yung nakasulat na contract, that's just evidence of the agreement. That you said, okay, I will do this, and you will do this, because I did this. Yun eh.
Oh.
That's what our whole thing is based on. Now, kaya may special rules is because sometimes kung ano yung sinabi ng one side, hindi nako-communicate to the other because reasons. There's no translation for that.
Oh,
There's
yes.
no... So, kailangan when you do that, may consideration ka for ano yung understanding ng one side, ano yung understanding ng kabila. And yun siguro investigate niya ng NCIP if there was that, if anyone took advantage. I don't imagine that you can quantify it in large amounts so far. Kasi number one, the course is only 750 pesos. Magkano yung production cost ng pagkuha ng videos na yun? Also, someone took the video. So they can't, no, I don't think they can say na we didn't know this was going to be used for that. Because someone took the video. And maraming nagtitake ng videos of Apo Whang-Od doing the tattoos. Martilyo yun, di ba?
Oh, yes, totoo. Sikat
Right. Sikat.
To respond.
So, are they of that kind of person na kailangan pang i-guide? Pwede, because at the end of the day, she's still a senior citizen.
104 years old, di ba? I mean,
Yep. So we don't know. We don't know what's going on. We can only hope that everyone there acted with good intentions.
Parang
Na-
giving the benefit of the doubt. May
Oo.
ganon.
Kasi wala pa namang nag-ano eh. Character assassination pa lang naman nangyayari.
Hanggang saan to aabot, Kicks? Saan to aabot?
You know what? It
Yeah,
depends.
may apila-apila ba to?
Kasi if it's just that people spent money on this. On the side of NAS Daily, they spent money on this. On Apo Whang-Od just has to exist. What's more interesting is the character assassination that's going around that doesn't address any of the issues involved. And, di ba, parang hindi naman sinagot yung issue eh. Nag-character assassinate ka lang eh. So it started from, I think there's this thing called defensive libel where you got slandered, tapos to protect your name, you slander them back. That doesn't really exist here. We don't consider that a defense. So pag tinira mo pabalik, pareho kayo makukulong. And now, since it's cyber libel, so times 2 yung penalty. So instead of 1 to 6 years, 6 to 12 years.
Yeah. So, di ba considered sila as part ng minority group? Or parang, so yung sensitivity ng level na to parang sa human rights. Di ba?
Hindi naman. It's not human. It's not.
Hindi naman.
It falls into the general of human rights, but more na the law requires that you really check if they understood any contract they enter into, especially more complex contracts. Contracts can be anything. You sell them a piece of bread, that's a contract. So if you sell them a piece of bread, it's no-brainer because it's a piece of bread. Kumuha ka na lang. Or some soft drink or whatever. Pero pag ganito, that has intellectual property rights and so on and so forth. Maraming legal issues. Also, I'm sure there was a lawyer that made this happen. If you're that big, and NAS Daily says last year pa he said that he set up his production company here. And then he said he's been saying that his company is 40% Filipino. You don't just throw those numbers out of thin air. If you know you're 40% Filipino, you know na nag-incorporate ka dito. And that's, oddly enough, that's the kind of foreign investment that everyone says they want.
Yeah.
tapos ganyan yung treatment. So parang
I think they're based in Singapore, Attorney Kiko, and yung most of their content creators are Filipinos. That's the ano. So 40% of their content creators are Filipinos. Isa nga kailangan ko ng yung national strategy for content creation should happen. To me, yan nga, in this Industry 4.0, di ba, going to 5.0, kami nating unique content that we can share to the world. At the same time, properly distribute it, create it, at the same time, monetize it properly so that those who own it, for example, ito, in this case, maraming indigenous Filipino communities that can benefit from it. Ito kasi parang a commercial venture, nakita yung opportunity for the content ni Apo Whang-Od and her community. Gusto nilang dalhin sa worldwide, di ba? Yung 750 na yon, that's small for one person, pero pagka minultiply mo several million times yan. Di ba? May long tail yun eh. Kaya sila NAS, they create it once. Once it's recorded, ilagay mo lang yan sa isang learning management system. Ano na yun? It's like a long tail. Kaching na yun sa kanila. So, di ko alam kung meron silang, baka may revenue sharing sila dun sa agreement, etc. Pero yun lang yan, nagulat lang lahat kasi nga, the grandchild of Apo Whang-Od said, scam yan. So, that was the statement given. So talagang alarm talaga yung siyempre yung mga Pilipino, diba? Rally behind Apo Whang-Od. So, but
yes.
yung big picture dito, yun nga, content creation strategy for the Philippines is needed. Especially in this case of digital. Yun ang that's the main message here. So wake up call sa government natin. Yun, look for content, help them protect their creations. Yun talaga yung dapat gawin, protektahan na mabuti. So sorry for being passionate about it. Passionate ko talaga kami dito sa Privacy Friday. So
part of the
basta
thing
ako hindi ako NAS Daily, Sam Daily ako.
Okay.
Yun.
Nakahirit ako
part of the when we look at and protect that data, we should build in the structures that allow them to be able to profit from that. Like kasi nangyayari sa ganyan ngayon may gatekeeper siya yung Apo. So how do you translate that into a formal structure that says, dito ka nakakausap, ito nang kakausapin mo. Pag sinabi ni ganyan, that's as if sinabi ng taas. So may trust na ganun. We don't have that formally yet. We don't have that in our culture yet. So maybe moving forward, if there are other international content creators, hopefully that we get our side na we're able to develop this trust system na you can enter into deals with and get things going.
Share ko lang din another phenomenon that was called out, yung tinatawag na Pinoy clickbait. Okay, so what is it? Yung mga international content creators, knowing that the Philippines is a social media capital of the world, ang ginagawa nila to, for example, generate membership, followers, fans, or any comment, gumagawa sila ng content about the Philippines. Kasi they know, because of again, di ba tayong number 1 worldwide based on recent studies, no? Talagang it's a phenomenon. I mean, really, content creators outside of the Philippines look at our country or our citizens who are connected to social media to boost their own presence online. So, ginagamit nila yung ating supposed to be strength natin yun. Yun tayo, anong ginagawa natin? What are we doing? Again, going back to the content strategy, you already have an online army of very active Filipinos on social media who are very hungry for Philippine content, di ba? For the country to be known. Ito nga, sa Olympics, di ba? Tayo yung noisiest country in the world. Work natin.
Tsaka recently, yung na-hail na sinigang. The number 1 vegetable soup. Coming from the issue of standardization ng adobo. Clickbait yun.
Correct. Again, for data privacy and cybersecurity, ingat mo kayo. Baka yung kiniklik nyo din na Filipino content yan, meron na pala yung kasamang malware. So, Yan, be careful. Yung reminder lang.
Maraming ganyan. Yung pinsan ko last week na ganyan. And these bad actors will always prey on your your weaknesses, your insecurities. So pag ganyan, yung insecurity mo pagiging Pilipino, ayan. Introducing this new Filipino product. Kilala worldwide. Tapos yung picture ni yung Secretary of Finance, si Carlos Dominguez, kumita na daw siya. Maraming ganun.
Again, di ba? Yung dark matter sa social engineering, no? Ayun na naman,
yes.
Di ba? So,
dark patterns.
Tayo.
Dark matter, physics yun, Sam.
Ay, nga pala.
Quantum mechanics yun.
Dark pattern. Social engineering.
Maraming kasi akong physics page sa space pages, kaya diba yan ang lumalabas sa aking mga feeds eh. So,
pero guys, di ba, beyond dito sa issue na to, it just, made me like step back and realize na dati kasi there's trial by publicity. Pero sa mga panahon natin na yun, mahirap ka makakuha ng publicity kasi kailangan mo ng TV, kailangan mo ng radyo. Pero, in this day and age, everybody is a producer, everybody is a broadcaster, everything can be broadcast. So, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, pero it's one of those that kailangan we need to be really very discerning about everything na nakikita natin, nababasa natin, napapanood natin. Kasi sometimes yung mga talagang naapi, nagiging kontrabida, di ba? Or yung mga akala niyong kontrabida, hindi pala yung dahilan or there's a reason behind it. So maraming nawawala doon sa frame kumbaga. So ang advice lang is, take it at face value, pero maghintay muna tayo ng evidence or mga result before we pass judgment. I know, mahirap, kasi nakita mo na kagad, visual, then you hear it, mahirap. So, but again, I guess it's just a reminder kung gano'n, na let's weigh all the evidences or information that's available. Yun lang.
Yeah, agree ako dyan. Nakakatuwa yung sinabi mo. Kasi actually gusto ko rin sanang i-point out yung existence din ng echo chamber, di ba? Sobrang lakas na factor yan . Actually, kaya nga hindi na natin alam ngayon kung sino ba nagsabi ng di ba? Sabi nga nila, who broke his or her silence about this issue. Talagang namamagnify to the point na hindi mo na ma-attribute kung kanino talaga nanggaling. And the echo chamber simply emphasizes what's the loudest. Yun na yung pipick upin ng madlang tao . Yun ang nakakatakot. So, again, part of our siguro cyber hygiene is to be mindful of the echo chambers that we belong in. Minsan kasi nasasali lang tayo sa grupo bigla, no? Or timeline natin nagiging echo chamber talaga sa social media. Pero yun nga, again, sabi nga
kung pipick upin lang di ba? Pero sometimes, yung pinakamalakas, yun yung nagiging truth
Yes.
So, yun yung pinakamasakit doon.
Totoo. Parang sabi nga, di ba, if you repeat something often enough, it becomes the truth. Yan ang yung problema sa social media natin.
Ito may comment
kaya sa election boto nyo si Sam, no? Siya ang pinakamabait. Walang bahid na personality po.
Yeah, Sam Daily.
Tatakbo ko dito sa akin. Pumili ng pandesal yan. Ito si Pierre dito, a similar class of power could be yan. Yung content naman, yung mga disadvantage, Philippine PWDs, etc. Again, may protection naman sila, di ba? So, again, minors, for example, ayan, protected sila.
It doesn't have to be just those, it can be people, giving under a certain, under certain conditions. Tawag doon poverty porn. Yan, shout out sa ating co-founder ng democracy.net at PH.
Nakita ko si Pierre, nang wala. Binabasa ko yung comment niya, pero hindi ko natapos basahin.
So, sabi niya is, if you make content about people, PWDs, people living with HIV, tapos ganyan, may exploitation aspect. Diba, nung una niyan, the Pinoy exploitation films nung 70s, sina Weng Weng, ganyan. And then, this is just the modern of that na, oh look, may someone's living in this cultural time warp o entertainment siya aside from what you but yun na nga, may long tail. It looks like there's exploitation. Hopefully there's none. Hopefully all parties acted ethically. But we can't say.
We're for the truth here. At the same time, gusto natin protektahan talaga yung gawa ng mga Pilipino, lalo ng ating mga indigenous communities. No? Meron pong nag-good evening sa atin, galing sa PNP ITMS Advisory Council. Magandang gabi po. Pasensya na, hindi lumalabas yung ninyo. You need to give permission po kay StreamYard para po lumabas yung ninyo dito sa stream natin. No? Iwan na natin to, yung topic na to. Ang susunod natin topic, interesting din mga ka-BounceBack ka-NADPOP. Ito po ay, galing po to kay Attorney Kiko. Gusto niya pag-usapan to. Nasa academe. From Professor Arnie Barcelo, yung pong, alam niyo naman si background nito, may isang inimbitahan ng isang elementary school sa kanilang commencement exercises sa Cavite na isang summa cum laude daw na galing sa UP Manila. And ang nangyari po ay nalaman na yung pong ito na sa picture huwag natin i-mention name niya, but hindi pala siya talaga graduate ng UP Manila at hindi pala siya summa cum laude. So yun po yung rito, maigsing introduction lang dito. Maganda rin pag-usapan to. So yan. Attorney Kiko, ikaw ang
ang isang doon is nakakatuwa how the systems of data regarding student admissions and their records biglang nag-kick into gear. So, madaling nakapag-issue ng denials. So, she made a speech on a certain day. Within 24 hours, the data processing kicked into gear. So, denial. Strong denials na siya. Tapos, so nahuli na siya because you know where she is. Tapos, ECQ ngayon. Di tapos. But, the way that that information got processed, very interesting to see.
Ang bilis, no? Baka may nagsumbong o mayroong maten na taga-UB.
Hindi, lumabas lang eh. Kasi, ang di ba, Juris Doctor Award, yan yun.
Correct. Lawyer.
No, but
hindi mo maalala yan.
Nasa UP Manila pa ng College of Law ng UP, di ba?
Oo.
Lumipat.
Yung pa, oo nga.
So, nag-graduate siya ng political science. Tapos may Juris Doctor na siya at the same time. May agree na. No, but the fact na I mean, I don't think it's just because it was UP Manila, but more because the systems were out there already. Tapos the way the internet plays detective, it's scary, and it's a reminder that everyone has to act with integrity these days because it's so easy to catch you.
Pakinggan naman natin comment from the academe. So
paano ba? Hindi ako makapag-comment kasi nakakahiya. Parang for me, ako as educator, parang nahihiya ako na may gano'n. Pero the mere fact na you put honor sa ginagawa mo. So dapat maging totoo ka. I cannot comment, pero I despise the action. Medyo sa sarili mo kasi alam mo naman yun, So sabi ko nga, you should combine always ethics and laws, sa lahat ng gagawin mo. Isipin mo yun. So, and you have to be careful. Mahirap mapahiya. May internet eh. Mahirap. Talaga kailangan na
lugar? Where was that?
It's a Cavite school.
Kamsu. Okay, so
saka yung resulting backlash, no?
Oo.
Di ba?
Yan, isa pa yun. because everything happens on the internet at the same time forever. So the past is present.
Oo. So
Kaya
ngayon,
nga, sabi ko, napapangiti si Abet. Kasi,
Kasi we pakiramdam ko parang susunod na lecture natin, quantum mechanics. Sinabi kasi ni Kix kanina, time warp. Sabi ni Sam dark matter. Tapos, ngayon, there's no concept of past and present. So,
The uncertainty.
Quantum computing na tayo next.
quantum computing na.
Yung kasi yung mga pinapollow namin sa mga social media accounts Abet scientific journals.
Yeah, dito mo na.
ang tatalino. Babe. Ayan. Pero Abet, sabi kanina, pag anong nasa internet, permanent na yun. Kaya,
Correct.
Ang interesting yan is in 10 years, pag whatever she's going to go through, tapos na. Whether kaya niyang i-implement yung right to be forgotten.
Tama.
Kasi if that person's going to me in 10 years, sasabihin ko, ikaw yun! Okay, thank you. Next. Not hiring you.
There's the option of another country, di ba? There's
kaso mag-google ka eh.
Estonia, di ba?
Mag-google ka.
Pero yung school dapat na nag-due diligence. Yun di ba? That started they were negligent in verifying her identity. So, baka naman may barkada siya ron uy, dito kailangan ko ng speaker ako na lang. Hindi as simple as that, no? So,
baka naman mali ka, Sam. Maybe this is a social experiment. Talagang binibake tayo.
Pwede rin. Baka lalabas sa NAS Daily.
Lalabas na tayo sa Sam Daily.
Lalabas na naman. Ay, nako.
Sir Eggs, kagat kasi nakagat sa nakikita, di ba? Yung pala, pagbalik sa iyo, social experiment lang yan. Kita nyo, ito mga nag-respond. Yung Privacy Fridays and FightBack Cybersecurity.
Sinakyan tayo para kumita, para sumikat sila.
Na-clickbait tayo pala.
Kung i-clickbait kita, gagawa ko ng deepfake mo, tapos magsasalita ako sa Abet de la Cruz sa isang comments with exercise. Kompleto. So, yun na lang gagawin natin, di ba? So again, wake up call po sa not just to schools but everyone, especially if you're inviting yun na nakakawawa yung mga bata, baka na-trauma sila dun sa experience, no? Nakarinig ng tweet, nalaman nila na yung di ba? So,
I'm sorry, nag-provide pala ako ng alibi, no? Kasi I could always say it was a social experiment.
Tayo palang mali.
Sorry.
Nakakalungkot. Kaya ba naalala niyo ba yung mga nagbigay ng commencement address sa inyo? Yung mga guest of honor niyo? Actually, hindi rin naman di ba? Nagtichismisan lang kayo.
Pero ngayon kasi lahat naka-internet Nado-document lahat. Kaya minsan malupit ang internet.
Ay, naku. Nakakalungkot na actually, Sis Arnie, from the active. Simpleng Google search lang naman yan. Verify na rin kung totoo.
If this happened 10 years ago, the tools wouldn't have been around to verify that.
Correct. Scot-free.
Ay, nako, di bale.
Science.
Oo. Di bale, sana lang hindi trauma yung mga bata sa yung mga parents, no? So, kaya wag niyong gayahin yung mga
napapahiya ka habang buhay.
Sam, magkano kaya honorarium?
Ay, nako. Anong natin?
Nakakawa yung nanay. Sina-interview yung nanay, tapos wala siyang alam. Well, of course, sasabihin niya wala siyang alam. But,
sayang, no? Sana yung content creation skills niya ginamit niya sa mabuti. Hindi sa magpapanggap. Ito, puntahan natin tong third topic natin. Yan. ECQ. Ito yung, again, we've been here before. Alam na natin, di ba? So, ang meron, fact sheet na from, thank you, Philippine Star, no? Public transportation, yes. May financial aid daw na parating. Vaccinations, tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Curfew, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Allowed outside essential workers are allowed to travel to their workplaces. Individuals obtaining essential goods. Ito yung one, di ba? Quarantine pass per family. Gatherings are not allowed. Establishments at full capacity at hospitals, grocery stores, convenience stores, and drug stores. Ayan. Again, ano ang impact ng ECQ na to sa data protection? So, yun ang gustong magsimula. Ayan, nag-negote lang si ating kasama. Ayan na, bumalik na si Lito. Lito, gusto mo simulan to? Privacy protection during an ECQ. Ayan, so babalik pa lang ni Lito.
Ginulat mo naman.
Teacher naman. Talaga.
Upo pa lang.
Teacher, ikaw muna, teacher.
Ako ng CR, pagbalik mo, bigla kang tinawag ng professor.
Siguro hindi ako naging teacher.
Ikaw muna, Sam. Ano yon? Sige, establish mo muna.
Oo, di ba? Yung mga critical areas dito, yung nag-travel, di ba? And meron sila mga papers, no? So, yun. And yung mga mag-inspect. And then, clearly lumalabas na naman sa mga uses that hindi naman magkakapare-pareho yung mga guidelines na na-receive. Kasi yung na-receive ko. Kasi nga, lahat ng papasok at palabas ng Metro Manila, sinecheck. Di ba? So, yung mga papel nila, yung kanilang mga credentials, etc. So, yun ang siguro yun ang main data collection to sa pag-ECQ. Nandun sa mga checkpoints. Nandun ka. Abet,
si Lito may i-share siya, di ba? Sabi niya, yung parang sa barangay nila, hanggang ngayon nagko-collect pa rin ng personal info or data. Balikan natin si Lito, Sam.
Ito.
Pasensya na po mga kaibigan.
Pinapasa row 1 yung mga tanong.
Row 1 po muna.
But essential workers ba yung mga collector ng data niyo na pwede sila magkalat sa labas? That's the first question. Ayaw sumagot kayo.
Di tayo narinig ni Lito. Kasi sabi niya kanina.
Medyo choppy.
Okay. Malinaw ka naman sa amin dito. Malinaw ka naman.
Anyway, yun nga, no? Dito sa barangay and some other barangays, hindi lang naman dito sa amin, nangungulekta sila ng personal data ng mga residents, no? And among those personal data na kinokolekta is they would like to know if the resident is a registered voter or not. Alam naman natin, elections is just around the corner. No? So bakit kailangan nila? Actually, yung pag-collect ng data, there's a legal basis to it. Nandun siya sa local government code. Trabaho ng barangay secretary na alamin kung sino yung mga residente. No? At mangalap, no? Mag-collect ng datos tungkol doon sa residente. But in the law, the information, personal information is limited to the name, the address, place of birth, date of birth, sex, marital status or civil status, tsaka occupation. So limited lang doon. Sabi ng batas, if you need to collect information beyond those, no, enumerated by the law, it has also be the information you would want to collect should be based in law also. So another law should provide for that. Okay? Nung tinatanong ko nga rito sa barangay, para sa inyo ba gagamitin? No, bakit kayo nangongolekta? Ibibigay daw kay mayor. So yun yung
sabi pala ni mayor ikaw naman tatanong ko
Kasama sa ayuda yan, yung ayuda ng ECQ na to, di ba? May ilalabas So,
yun, tama.
Yung may legitimate purpose naman pala. Saka transparent sila. Galing kay Mayor, di ba? So, yung proportionality lang.
Transparent pero hindi proportion.
Hindi kaya kinukuha yung occupation eh. Depende daw sa occupation mo yung bibigay sa'yo ayuda dito eh. So, yung po, so ingat lang po. Anong kailangan nila, pwede nilang gawin dito pagka ganyan? So, that's a question
Hindi,
now.
intindihin nila mabuti nga yung kanilang yung batas, no? The DILG had actually issued circular in 2018, no? Requiring all LGUs to designate a DPO or a compliance officer for privacy. So in the case of barangays, compliance officer for privacy. So kung may DPO yung city hall or municipal hall, so makikipag-coordinate na sila sa ganun. But apparently, itong DILG circular has not been implemented. The other issue is, for example, in a barangay sa Quezon City, no, ganun din. So may nag-inquire. Ang sagot ng barangay, they cannot allocate, just create the position, a plantilla position. No? And under the DILG, ang designated custodian ng information is the barangay secretary. So hindi ko lang alam kung ano yung implication niyan if the barangay secretary will be designated as the COP. Di ba? Pero ang sinasabi ko rito sa barangay, tutulungan ko kayo, no? Para maintindihan nyo lahat yan. Ang problema, hindi pa sila bumabalik sa akin. Hindi na nga binalikan yung form.
Nag-ECQ na dito kaya siguro after 2 weeks ka sa pumabalikan ng barangay.
Siguro. Baka isinumbong na ako sa City Hall.
Research tayo, no? Let's look at the DILG, ano ba yan? Directive ba yan? Or is that EO? Hindi. Yung sinasabi mo.
Yung ano?
Research on that.
That comes from, parang AO. Tapos that comes from another AO of the Executive Secretary. Na-issue na yan before.
Okay. Sige, let's siguro balikan natin for future episodes, no? So para makita natin how local governments actually responding to that administrative order. Okay, so dito maganda naman yung signal mo sa amin, yung we can hear you clearly. So
yeah.
And sa ating mga kababayan na inaapektuhan ng ECQ, no, ingat na lang po sa inyong pagbabiyahe. Dalhin niyo po yung proper documents when you travel. Ano po? Para po pagka dumaan kayo sa checkpoint ay yun po, wala pong maging aberya, wala maging problema. So, ingat na po sa lahat. At yung nga po, kung kaya nyo magpapakuna, na po kayo. Dahil tuloy-tuloy naman daw ang vaccination. Okay.
Tapos na
ba naman natin? Well, had my first job. Ito, yung NPC updates, no? Pinuntahan natin site, di pa rin sila nagpapalitan ng cover photo. So, baka magpalitan sila next week. But marami silang update na dito yung isa, no? So, bukas po ang NPC, pero hindi sila magsasara. To minimize physical contact, email na lang ninyo yung mga inquiries sa following emails. Nakalagay lang po yan. Kitahan nyo po yung site nila. So, business as usual pa rin, pero to avoid person-to-person contact na, inquiries nyo, just send to the following emails that were listed here. Etc. So, ito yung next, no? Ito na, ready na ba kayong fourth episode actually ng ating yun. Dito pala nanggagaling yung na yun. Ng ating tinatawag na DPA OLA series ng NPC. Yan. So tatawagin po natin ang ating kasamang si dito, no? Gulat ka dito. No? Abet de la Cruz and Sis Arnie Barcelo. Ito po ang kanilang pagsasadula ng ating and debut complaints. Yan. So
ito ang vehikulo namin para maging isang NAS.
Yeah.
Ay, nako. Game na.
Oo.
Ready ka na?
Game na, yes.
Call muna natin. Okay, episode 3, filing processes and rebuild complaints. Action!
Tinandaan mo na ba kung saan magpapadala ng complaint? Alam mo na rin ba kung paano i-process yung pagpa-file nila?
Hindi pa.
Ate, ganito. Mag-submit ka ng notarized complaint affidavit or complaint-assisted form sa opisina ng NPC. Bukas sila ngayon kahit ECQ, kahit lockdown. Tutulungan ka din na mag-asikaso doon.
Wow, ha? Saan ko makukuha yung complaint-assisted form?
Well, downloadable naman yan sa website ng NPC. Yung check mo na lang yung website nila, yung URL. Haba nito https://www.privacy.gov.ph/complaints-assisted. Yan.
Yan. Ito na. Nakita ko na. Pero pwede ko ba itong isubmit online?
Pwede naman. I-email mo na lang sa yung scan copy, no? Siyempre, pipirmahan mo yun. Tsaka kailangan i-notarize mo. So, i-scan mo siya, tapos email mo siya sa complaints@privacy.gov.ph. Again, huwag mong kalimutan na dapat notarize pa rin yung document, ha?
Segue ko lang. Dapat ba talagang signature, pwedeng digital signature? Anyway.
Muna yung complaint at evidence mo, syempre. Kung walang evidence at hindi tungkol sa Data Privacy Act ang reklamo mo, pwedeng ma-dismiss yung complaint. Kaya dapat, huwag mong kakalimutan maglagay ng ebidensya ng violation at na sinubukan mo na kausapin yung nireklamo mo pero wala silang ginawa. Deadma lang sila.
Dapat pala kinakausap muna bago mag-file. O sige, salamat ha. Thank you.
No problem. Tara, merienda na tayo.
Yan.
Manonood pa ako ng NAS Daily eh.
Ay, ako sa daily.
Hindi ka tapos ito.
Ay, dito pa. Ito lang yung practice namin.
Oo nga.
Kung pumasa naman sa evaluation.
Yun. Kung pumasa naman sa evaluation, bibigyan nila ng chance to comment yung kalabang party within a specific time. After nyan, may preliminary conference nyo na kung nung nireklamo mo, doon na kayo mag-uusap para ayusin ang details ng kaso at kung anong gusto ninyong next step.
Ano ba yung next step?
Depende sa'yo, te. Kasi pwede kayong mag-request ng mediation na pwedeng mapunta sa settlement ng kaso. Kung ayaw mo naman ng mediation o nag-fail yung na-request ninyong mediation, pwede kayong manghingi ng additional evidence. Bibigyan kayo ng time ni NPC para mag-produce yung mga requested evidence. Parang kaso pala talaga.
Last na.
Kung wala namang hiningin na additional evidence, wala akong maisip eh.
Kapag wala, kung ano lang yung sinabit mo ang magagamit ng NPC para malabas yung decision nila. Binigyan na nila kayo ng chance mag-present ng evidence. Pareho. Binigyan na nila kayo ng chance mag-present ng evidence pareho at makapanghingi kung kinakailangang choice mo na kung ano yung gagawin.
Sige, iisipin ko muna ano pang mga evidences ba yung kailangan ko galing sa kanila para mapanalo ko to.
Oo, te. I know you got this. Huwag ka magmamadali kasi kailangan kompleto talaga sa information at evidence para makapaglabas ng naaayong ruling. Magtiwala kang may due process.
Sige. Ngayong alam ko na yung process, itutuloy ko to para makamit ko ang justice at mapanalo ko to. Siyempre, magtatanong ako kay Attorney Kiko.
Correct, eh. Wala yung iba pa. So, ika nga, trust the process.
Thank you.
Hey!
Baka naman natin.
Inaabangan ng inaabangan ng audience natin.
Attorney Kiko.
Hindi namin na-review yung huling dalawa. Akala namin 4 lang.
Ito may comment niya si Grandmaster Don Di Mapa. Kailangan ba magkasama ng abogado sa scheduled hearing? Paano kung wala? Ayan.
Ayun. So, Attorney Kix?
Okay. Ideally, malamang pagpapakita yung kabila, meron din sila abogado. But the hearing officer, the investigating officer, is there to protect you also. So, hindi ka lalamangan nun. So, sa preliminary conference hearing naman, Sa preliminary conference, ang pag-aayusan nyo lang dun is kung pwede kayong makipag-ayos sa kabila. So, if it becomes that na sila may abogado, ikaw wala, maaari mong you can ask the investigating officer na i-excuse yung abogado nila kasi mag-uusap kayo para makikipag-aregluhan. But if not, edi wala, there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to discuss, di tapos na. You may want to ask then kung if you have a lawyer, what kind of evidence ang pwede nyong hingin sa kabila, but that should not be something na required. So hindi mapopostpone yung hearing kung wala kang abogado.
Gano'ng katagal normally, Attorney Kiko, yung proseso?
So, bago na yun Actually, nagbago sila this year. So, but I understand it's a lot faster. Mas marami ng tao who work on the thing compared to my time there. So, mas mabilis na siya ngayon. I can't give you a time frame.
Pwede online yung mediation lang o yung meetings?
Online yun for now. Kasi nga ECQ. So, lahat sila work from home. Meron silang remote via Microsoft Teams yung hearing.
Kala ko ODR
Sana.
Sana, no? Oo nga
Right.
Magiging way of life na yan, yung online dispute resolution with everything that's happening.
Pwede, but it's just na people have to adopt it. Na they have to be comfortable with that. That's how it's going to work from here on. They also have to be comfortable na mas mahal yun. So far. So, as opposed to, kasi mas matagal yung yung setup ng ODR versus but once you've gotten used to it, and once you know what your non-negotiables are, and you can come out with a solution, it should be faster.
But there are, may experience na rin naman dyan sa starting experience, transitory experience sa ODR. Kasi ang dami na video conferencing facilities. Okay? And the same is also sanctioned by the court. Halimbawa, yung alternative dispute resolution. Right? Tapos, yung isang clear example is yung remote notarization of paper documents. Pinapagamit na rin ng court ang video conferencing facilities.
Yes.
People are starting to get used to this mode.
Sakto yan,
Dapat nga default siya Should be the default. But hopefully the infrastructure catches up. Hopefully the kasi parang early adoption pa for all the, not for the people at the bottom, more of the lawyers, so they're at that stage pa where they're still trying to figure out some system. For example, yung remote notarization, dapat nga blockchain implementation yun but the court has they haven't seen it yet. Hopefully they will at some point in the future.
Yeah, they're on the way there. Sa ngayon nga, remote notarization of paper documents. So hindi pa siya electronic. Right? Pwede nang i-introduce yung electronic notarization kasi may PKI na rin tayo. Okay, but the practitioners, the stakeholders will just have to get used to it.
Pag nag-take off yung actually the market is just waiting for electronic notarization. Once that takes off, or once they launch the rules, no one's going to use that paper anymore. And that might be the single biggest thing that saves the planet.
Actually, sana rin yung may national PKI, pero sana before fully implement yung national PKI, i-allow na rin ng government agencies na tanggapin yung mga commercial that's widely used now, like yung DocuSign, mga ganon. Kasi least, that's already accepted worldwide. So at least before that interim, we can already proceed with that.
Definitely. Speaking of worldwide, ito yung next update ng NPC naman. So, yan, last August, so NPC pushes adoption of international data protection standards on security techniques. They're pushing for the adoption of these standards on security techniques among organizations. And they cover privacy framework, implementation of data protection control, management of identity information, and guidance for privacy impact assessment. So tama po yan. Again, hindi na sisigundahan kasi dapat talaga ginagawa natin to. So yan, adoption of international data protection standards, specifically yung ISO standards that we mentioned in our previous episode. Okay, puntahan naman natin tong update na to from Privacy PH. Ayan, mga kaibigan natin, magandang gabi again. John Jacob and other colleagues. Ito maganda to. So may isang si Jam several hours ago. Yan, there's a bill being proposed right now in the lower house. Promoting the fundamental right of a mobile phone subscriber and email user to privacy, as well as the adoption of more responsible and accountable business practices by marketing and sales agents. Ayan. So ito po yung article. So galing sa PNA, Ang tanong ko, kailangan pa ba tong batas na to na hindi ba?
Alam mo, Singapore has that. It's called the do not call list. The problem with tiningnan namin yan sa umpisa sa National Privacy Commission. Then we really thought na kailangan ng batas for it. So the question then becomes, sino mag-implement? Sa Singapore, yung PDPC nag-implement ng do not call list. So you register, you pay for a certain amount to get on that system. And then pag someone else calls you on the number that you registered there for that spam, whatever, they get to pay a fine. Or in this case, baka because of the way that fine of not less than 50,000, not more than 100,000.
Related to sa
in the case of this PNA, yung yatang mga business users will have to register their devices and email addresses before they can use it to push information to the public or target customers. So yun naman yung converse do sa sinabi ni Attorney Kicks, sa do not call registry. Ito registry ng businesses required to register their numbers and email addresses before they can use it to push information.
Let me read one of the paragraphs. The bill, in House Bill 9608, or No Call, No Text, and No Email Registration Systems Act, seeks to establish a system of no call, no text, and no email registries for subscribers who do not want to receive promotional messages, including the purchase of goods and services and solicitations. The proposal is to require prior consent from the subscriber before commercial or promotional advertisements or push messages may be sent to them, or when the subscriber has specifically opted to receive said messages without additional cost. So yun, yung registry tama, and the system. Okay, so actually this is good for us, di ba, as consumers. No?
I think it takes precedent before, di ba, if you recall, Attorney Kicks, there was a CAN-SPAM Act, the no spam list, right?
Yes.
So doon siya nanggaling dati. And it's just ironic, Sir Tolites, kasi one of the provisions that we included in the early versions of the anti-cybercrime bill was a segment called unsolicited commercial email. And that's what we're discussing now is exactly yung mga nilagay namin doon. Kailangan mo ng consent and in all of the so the Supreme Court struck it down and now we're bringing it back, di ba? Galing.
No.
So masaya si Attorney Kicks kasi isa yun yung points na inatake.
Yeah. Kasi namin yun, petition namin yun eh.
Go pala, ha?
Oo. We actually put it in just so that we could cancel the entire law. Kasi napapangitan kami sa pagkakasulat niya. Alam na dati, spam could have been worded better. So here, the devil will be in the details. So, for example, the way that it was worded kasi made it criminal. It made it an infringement of speech. Ito, you need to respect the right. So dalawang opposing systems yan. So if you've already told them to don't contact me, which is why nga the Singaporean system works. There's a registry dapat na don't contact me. Doon, before you've even established that registry of don't contact me, may criminal na nakakamit. So it's these fine tunings that need to be worked out.
And there's another proposal, di ba? You'll be assigned one unique number, di ba, per person. So meron din ganun.
Meron din ganun, which is not, that's mali yun.
In Korea, ganun sila eh. That's how they are, di ba? In Korea.
And then, may real name registration for social media. Isa pang mali yun. Not going to get the...
Kaya tinatanong yung TikTok account mo to, Lights.
Yes.
Ayoko nga, I'm enjoying my anonymity.
Don Vito,
Diba?
ano yung TikTok. Oh.
Kaya hanggang ngayon, 20 taon na ako naka-prepaid.
Kaya
Linis
pala.
na number.
Padala ko namin ng load dito. Sige, pagka kailangan mo. Pero good to, this is good for consumers and data subjects. Definitely. So, okay. Sa atin naman, tingnan natin yung nasa NADPOP DPO Central. Ito, galing kay Joel Henson. Medyo mahaba siya, but in summary, you've seen this, no? So, nagtatanong siya yung sa CCTV footage ng healthcare worker. Okay? On the day the act of neglect is allegedly committed. However, the complainant once obtained a copy of the CCTV footage. It happened in a healthcare environment, di ba? Na merong nakuhang footage sa isang healthcare worker na apparently allegedly committed a negligent act, which resulted in the death of a patient. So, ganun siya, yung finrame, no? At tinatanong niya, the complainant, siguro yung next of kin nung namatay, wants to obtain a copy of the CCTV footage despite knowing fully well that the complaint is now with the committee and that the patient is not in the footage since the image is taken outside of the patient ward. Okay? So the hospital to its DPO told the complainant that the request cannot be granted since the appropriate disclosure of the CCTV footage is to the committee. The complainant insisted that he has the right to obtain a copy of the footage, considering that healthcare workers are a government employee, and any information about the employee and performance of the worker's duties outside the scope of the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Furthermore, the complainant pointed out that if the hospital will not provide him a copy of the footage on the premise that the complaint is already being investigated, he told the hospital that he will just withdraw the complaint so that the hospital cannot provide him a copy of the footage. Ang tanong ni Joel, is he correct in saying that the footage is outside the scope of the DPA since the one in the footage is a government employee? Next question, is the hospital correct in denying his request since the investigation is ongoing? Final question, can he insist on obtaining a copy of the CCTV footage if he withdraws complaint? Yeah. So, medyo again, healthcare environment setting, may CCTV footage, and may nakatay na pasyente, hinihingi po nung complainant, probably an next of kin ng yung footage sa CCTV, kahit sa labas ng yun ng kwarto, for example. So again, medyo masalimuot na issue, but again, Joel, thank you for pointing. May mga sumagot na po doon, but we'd like to get the feedback, comments from our hosts.
Sinagot din ito ni Attorney Jam Jacob dun sa sa privacy.ph. And he's right. Mali yung hospital. The Data Privacy Act was never meant to be a shield against someone who needs evidence. So in this case, Section 13F, the establishment, exercise, or defense of legal claims. So ang question na lang dyan is it proportional. So if it is only with regard to yung care ng relative, dapat yun. If it doesn't relate to that, yun pwede ka mag-withhold ng information. So, doon nakakalito yung kwento ni Joel na yung tao involved, yung sinisipatan niya inaccuse niya na ng negligence, hindi kasama yung brother niya or yung relative niya for whom he's exercising data subject rights. Tapos, if the data is being requested by NBI as part of a criminal investigation by the NBI, iba pa rin usapan yun outside yun. But to say that this is outside the scope of because government employee, you're not even going to go there because establishment, exercise, or defense of legal claims. Better to imagine nga na merong because you're not. There may be others that are also captured inside the CCTV, and you have to factor in all their data subject rights and the right to privacy for all those people. So, yun na again, establishment, exercise, or defense of legal claims, dapat i-release, but only very specific times, and yung footage is very limited.
At saka may guidelines yan ng may advisory yung NPC issued in 2020, November 2020. This is yung advisory number 2020-04 that governs the release of CCTV footages, whether it's for personal use or the CCTV footage is the subject of a criminal investigation, or whether it's covered by court order. So iba-iba yung may mga conditions dun sa advisory on how to obtain the footage. But basic requirement nga is you have to shield the others who are not involved in the issue. So yun nga yung sinasabi ni Attorney Kix kanina na sa Europe ang practice, bine-blur yung mukha ng ibang data subjects.
Saka di ba, baka pwedeng gamitin yan, baka huntingin niya yung
yeah.
Huntingin yung yung ito. So, that can happen, right?
Pwedeng gamitin na pangharas
Yep.
Definitely. Kaya reminder sa ating
yung bakit i-withdraw yung complaint, makuha lang yung video
Oo.
Yun nga. Siguro
yung mga nangongolekta po yung may mga CCTV po sa ating mga work area, sa mga premises. Ito po, mayroon po consequences yung pag-collect nyo ng video, So, lalo po kami nangyayaring alleged crime, for example, at may nag-request po ng mga footages na inyong nakokolekta. So, again, yung minention nga po ni Lito na meron pong opinion dito ang NPC na pinalabas. Kaya pwede ko makita yun sa NPC website. Okay, almost 1.5 hours. That's our last update. So, ganito. I mean, talagang nagsimula tayo. Napakainit talaga ng issue ngayon. You're praying for the protection of our indigenous people. At the same time, of course, those who are being subjected to CCTV footage like us, sana naman protektahan din nila yung mga nakokolekta ng mga video natin, whether for commercial purposes or for security purposes. Yun po, any data that you collect, whether it's via video or even via photos or even via digital files, yun po, kailangan po natin silang protektahan. So, final words, fellow host ng Privacy Fridays. Pabalik naman tayo ngayon. So, unahin natin si Abet. Sa row 4 tayo magsimula. So, naka-mute ka, Abet.
Mute.
Oo. Abet, naka-mute ka. Mute.
Sorry po. Ginulat mo kasi ako Nagulat. Ako naman ginulat mo ngayon
Sorry.
Masarap sa row 4, pag inaanto ka, hindi ko gano'n nakikita. Kaya sinasadya ko, kahit hindi ako row 4, sinasadya ko sa dulo. Anyways, ang dami nating topics. Today, it's kind of like roundabout. but still, I'm just gonna go back dun sa unang sinabi ko kanina na, don't believe everything you see in the internet. I know it's difficult, uh, because yun nga, katulad din sabi ni paring Engels, uh, usually the loudest is the one that gets the more attention, and yun nga, no, if you say something long enough, it sometimes becomes the truth. So my advice is still the same: be discerning. I know it's rather difficult, mahirap, but at least try to have that part of your brain to question everything. Ayun, tama. So, yun.
Yeah, thank you, Abet. Professor Barcelo.
Yes. Parang minsan iniisip ko, sa totohanan na totohanan, Filipinos have low regard to data privacy until now. Medyo nag-start pa rin naman. Pero lalo na ngayong ECQ. So, but we have to remember na kung hindi mo man alam yon, you are not aware of data privacy and cybersecurity, may basic framework naman para ma-practice yung respect sa tao, no? So may basic framework like your principles, your moral values, plus the situation you are in, yung facts of life, then the situation. Then with that to the principles plus your situation, kung ano man yun, you can make a sound decision kung ano man yun, di ba? So, and then, wala pa tayo sa maturity level na we can always when we do something, combine natin talaga yung ethics and laws. So, pag hindi enough si ethics, may laws. Pag hindi enough si laws, may ethics. So, although wala pa tayo doon, pero I'm sure aabot din tayo doon. So, yeah, respeto talaga. Respeto. Be part of the minority group or hindi, di ba? So, yeah, so masaya ako lagi dito sa Privacy Fridays and FightBack Cybersecurity. Laging maraming natututunan, lalo na sa team, nakakatuwa to. Although di ko alam kung alam nila ang sinasabi nating row 1 and row 4, kung ang nakikinig ay nakaka-relate. Anyway, so we really enjoyed this episode. So sa ating pong mga kababayan, so pandemic po ulit, pandemic pa rin, naka-lockdown po tayo. So more than ever, we have to be kinder. Bawal pong lumabas, pero pwedeng magpa-konting GCash at increase our prayers. Ayun, yun na lang ang pwedeng lumabas, ang prayers at GCash. Ayun, thank you. Maraming salamat, Sam, Engels, Abet, and Attorney Kiko, as always. Thank you talaga sa'yo. So this episode is always meaningful pag mga insights mo. And of course, to Lito. So, thank you, classmates. Thank you, teacher.
Nagpaalam ka agad.
Kita pa ako,
Thank you for joining us tonight kasi baka maging boys night out to. Professor Barcelo, wala.
Question. Gusto mo ba ngayon yung mga row 1, row 4? O baka
hindi ko alam
baka may violation na ngayon yun against something?
Uy, lagot ka.
Page 1, page 2 ka.
Actually, nung nagtuturo ako noon, doon ako sa likod nakatingin. Kasi akala nung nasa first row, sila yung nababantayan.
Okay.
Di ba? Yun yung style ng teacher. Anyway, I'll just pick up from what Arnie said, especially doon sa awareness nga ng privacy, no? Actually, ang difficulty sa Pinoy, sociologically and culturally, wala tayong concept ng privacy.
Yeah.
No? Lahat communal. So, nangyayari tuloy, yung action mo, alam ng lahat ng buong barangay. 'Di ba? Kasi yung the chismis culture challenge, no? Ngayon, yun din yung challenge ko nga sa protecting my own privacy and specifically nga protecting my data privacy. Yun nga, yung experience nga dito sa barangay, nangongolekta. Tanong ko, bakit kailangan yan? Bakit ito kailangan? Hindi nila alam. Kasi they're not, I can't blame them for not knowing it, but siguro yung awareness nga, yung implementation ng batas sa LGU level hindi pa nakakarating, no? In spite of all the issuances that I've come across, that we've all come across, no? The NPC as well as the DILG, medyo mahina pa yung implementation ng batas at saka ng mga issuances. So, yun na, no? So, kailangan maingat din tayo. So, doon sa subjects natin ngayong gabi, for example, yung claim nga, yung nagbigay nga ng speech, don't beef up your identity with something that is, imagined or even fictitious because babalikan ngayon, may mga resibo.
Disguise ka naman.
Pwede, mag-disguise ka. No, pero ibig sabihin nga,
sabi na imagine ko yung humihingi ng data kay Lito. Sabi niya, si Mr. Aberia, parang kung ano-ano pa hinihingi yung arte-arte. Ilipat na lang natin siya ng listahan, lagay natin siya doon sa tokhang.
Yun nga mahirap dyan mahirap dyan kasi hindi nga nila alam ang gagawin. Tapos, actually, hanggang ngayon, hindi nila binabalikan, no, yung form ko. Anyway, yun, nasa sa pag-iingat na rin natin. Let's be careful, especially dito sa internet environment nga. Yan ang challenge natin kasi ngayon, lahat may resibo. And the internet never forgets.
Pag nilapag mo, may resibo.
Ano yan, Abe?
Kasabihan sa internet yun. Pag nilapag mo, may resibo. Meaning, kung ano ilagay mo sa internet, hindi na mawawala.
Okay po. Okay na. Very good.
Nasita ka na naman ni teacher, Abet.
Kailangan yung level mo, alam mo yung mga pinagsasabi ng mga bata ngayon.
Correct. Uy, si Attorney Kiko kailangan umalis. So, Attorney Kicks, bago huli na natin si Bro Engel. So, parting words.
Ayun, so this week maraming nangyari that demonstrate what happens when data privacy is present and what happens when data privacy is absent. So instead na blaming data privacy na yan ang dahilan kung bakit things aren't working, maybe we should look and say na maybe things would work better nga if data privacy was around. So yun, always take care of your data, and that's it for me.
Thanks, Attorney Kicks.
Yes, sir.
Kailangan pa ni Attorney Kiko so may meeting siya ngayon. Kaya hard work.
Alam ko may Saturday.
Friday.
Ay, Friday pa lang ba?
Friday pala ngayon. O si teacher, sino na sunod?
Antonio, syempre. Row 1 yan, yung mga A's.
Okay.
Yeah, ano na lang siguro, just to wrap up siguro. Ang ganda ng mga topics, no? Siguro ang dalawa ko lang na gustong parang hugutin from the discussion. First, yung operational keyword siguro natin, I think, no, would be free, prior, and informed consent. So as a data subject, please fight for it, no? Para sa mga nanonood sa atin ngayon. If you are a data subject, please fight for free, prior, and informed consent. Huwag lang yung sige lang ng sige, no? Now, if you are a personal information controller and personal information processor, please extend this, no? Free, prior, informed consent to your data subjects. It takes two, no? Double-edged sword yan, eh. So, kailangan, sinasabi nga ni Attorney Kiko, no? Importante yung privacy at kung both sides will render this, no? Free, prior, informed consent, mababawasan yung mga problema. Hindi na aabot sa ganito kalaking issue, no? And then pangalawa, nakita natin doon sa discussion yung sorry, nag-a-announce sila ng quarantine. Anyway, nakita natin sa discussion yung energy. There was so much energy expended on the internet, in echo chambers, no, fanning the flames. So, ang dami-dami ng naglalabasan. Looking, parang stepping back, naisip ko, it's more efficient if the people involved, no, would own up, no, apologize and make things right. Parang mas madali yun, eh. Parang mas efficient na, let's say, nagka-problema kayo sa contract, beef up mo yung identity, sabi nga ni Lito, no, nag-beef up ng identity, then talagang so much energy will be spent hitting you, trying to defend yourself, no? And so on and so forth. Pero yun nga, it may sound idealistic, but at some point, sabi nga ni Arnie, mag-mature tayo. Let's try to mature as a people, no? As Filipinos. And siguro kaya. Apologize, nagkamali ako. I'll make things right. Hopefully mangyari yon, mangyari. Baka nananaginip ako, pero ito ay isang panawagan actually sa lahat ng viewers natin na baka pwede. It will be a better world. Parang,
Pagdasal natin,
Yes, brother.
Bro Engels.
Amen, amen, brother.
Pagdasal na lang natin.
Right na natin, no? Hindi na ako magdadadag, ano, pero again po, mag-ingat po sana tayo dahil sa ECQ. Palo na naman po ng more than 10,000 cases every day yung data support. So nakakatakot po talaga yung Delta variant. Ngayon po, since nasa mga bahay niyo po kayo, iniimbitahan po namin kayo na panoorin niyo po yung past episodes namin. So, kung na-miss niyo po yung aming episodes from the test episode sa tatlo, saka 8 episode ngayon, 11 na pong episode ng Privacy Fridays, back-to-back FightBack Cybersecurity. Oo.
Naaliw sila. Ma-entertain.
And yung nga po, amin po i-compile ito, no? I-compile po namin itong mga teaching content and some of the case studies po. We use it as case studies po sa data privacy cybersecurity. We're going to compile this po into a training and certification program. So yun po, antayan niyo po yan. Again, galing po yung certification program na yan sa BounceBack Network in partnership with NADPOP, saka po PH-CERT /CC. Tama ba yung pag-mention ko sa ABEC? Saka ano ba yung cute na cute ba yung meaning nun? Yung ano ba? PH-CERT cute na cute?
Cute na cute.
Coordinating Center.
Oo, yan. Tama.
Nag-iisip ako ng witty retort, walang pumasok sa isip ko.
Bawihan mo na lang si BounceBack.
Kailan ba magiging on-demand yung training seminar ni Atty. Kicks?
Ayan.
Para, pwedeng i-pause, kakain muna, pwede.
Yung pause na bibig, no? Grabe, di ba? Darating yan, Abet. Marami tayong mga kaibigan na tinutulungan ngayon, no? So kaya hintay lang po kayo, marami po pong darating na mga pagtuturo at magagandang mga topics sa Privacy Fridays at FightBack Cybersecurity. Sana po samahan niyo na naman kami next week, no? Again, shoutout na lang po sa ating mga kaibigan sa PNP ITMS at sa Advisory Council. Magandang gabi po sa inyo. Salamat po at suki namin. Malamang papasa tong mga to sa exam, no? Kayang-kaya nila yung mga exams natin. Again, once again, praying for the safety of everyone, yung mga colleagues ko sa Privacy Fridays. Again, Engels, dito, Abet, Professor Arnie, thank you. And of course, Attorney Kiko, who has to run up to a meeting. Once again, on behalf of Jason founder of BounceBack Network, maraming salamat po at magandang gabi and have a safe and healthy weekend ahead, everyone. Thank you.
Be safe.
Yeah.